There's just something about the movie theater experience that stirs something deep inside our souls. From that fragrant popcorn, sometimes sticky floors, giant projection screen, and a communal experience, it's been hard to stay away. With the Venom sequel reaching the largest box office since the start of the pandemic and our recent trip to celebrate an animated classics anniversary, we're inspired to revisit some classics that deserve a re-release on the big screen, with a gimmick or two thrown in. Dim the lights and fire up the projector. This is Wayback Attack.
Welcome to Wayback Attack. My name is Brian Grantham, and sitting across the movie theater of love is Preston Burke. Preston, are you ready to fathom what is beyond the movie theater?
I am. I'm ready to get ingrained with the people, with the screen, with the movie magic, and with my friend Brian Grantham. Thanks for having me again, and thanks for sitting across the table of love. As always.
It was the movie theater.
Oh, sorry. The movie. Well, I know it's filled with love, whatever we do.
Hey, some movie theaters have tables in them, so that works.
That's right. Yeah, the one I've been to has like a little desk that swings out so you can eat. Movie tavern.
There was an independent film theater in Key West that they had. You could buy beer and food there, but it was just like small movie theaters. It was actually. I think I've talked about the laser tag place that my friends worked at, and it was actually that place. After it was the laser tag place, it turned into a movie theater. So
that's cool. Yeah, I like the option of having food. Like the movie tavern places and stuff, like a full meal, but it's never that great. So I just enjoy the snacks and the company and the show, but yeah, so we're bringing this topic up today because Brian and I had a fun time to go explore recently. We watched the 35th anniversary of Transformers, and we'll get into that. But before we do, I just want to check in. How are things going, man? You doing good?
I'm doing well. So I recently had a pipe burst. I know it's the story of my life. Yeah. Hey, kids. If you buy a house that has polybutylene pipes, you should, before you buy it, you should have a in the contract of you buying it that they have to replace all the pipes. So, so this time I was like, you know what? I have replaced so many pipes at this point. I'm pretty good at it. Like it's just like I need this, and this. I don't do it the right way necessarily. I'm using PEX pipes and I'm using sharp bite clips. Or not clips, but connectors. And but I was like, I'm going to replace this entire pipe because it's the same one. Every time it's the same one. And it just keeps going down the line, basically. And so I was like, I'm going to replace the whole thing. I have a long piece of PEX. And so I took it down here, but it ran to the wall of the studio. And I was like, well, I'd rather not
go through the studio.
I was like if the pipe was longer than that, I would have done it just to get it through here. But I was like, so I just did it far beyond where it's been breaking. So we'll have to see. But because of that, I cleaned my basement. So
I noticed. And the collectibles are still safe on the wall, and the video games are still safe. So that's good.
Yeah,
doing the Lord's work. Well, speaking of getting house prepped, I just came back from setting up for Halloween. Do you guys decorate for Halloween?
Yes, actually, our front yard is decorated, or not front yard, but our front porch, and it's just not turned on.
Okay,
so
you got to turn it on for me next time, man. I want to see it in full bloom.
There's like a black light out there and a ghost and all kinds of stuff.
That's cool, man.
It's annoying for me to go out there and turn it off. That's why I don't turn it on.
We pulled them all out, man. I've got the full-size skeleton, not the 12-foot Home Depot one.
Oh man, you gotta get the big boy.
But I got. We call him Nobody. We got Nobody and his little coffin with the red eyes. We've got, cobwebs galore, and this little inflatable $5 thing from Frankenstein from Dollar General. Man, I love Halloween. But it reminded me, October, Halloween, we actually started the show.
Yes.
In October 2 years ago.
I know. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah. So this is actually going to be I think this is our 49th episode.
Yep.
So next one, we'll have to do a special 50th episode spectacular 2-year anniversary combo bonus show.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. We'll have to come up with some special things for it. We're not going to just do a clip show.
No, we're gonna make it great, just like this episode, which is gonna be awesome.
Yes.
So, like I said at the top of the show, the movie theaters, they're slowly getting back.
Mm-hmm.
They're slow. You and I have been a few times since movie theaters reopened.
Right.
It's definitely down as far as audience, the crowd size and stuff. But it's picking back up. Supposedly, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, the sequel to the original Venom movie, had the highest box office since the pandemic at $100 million, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
I mean, granted, they'd probably want more than that if we were back in the before times.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think Shang-Chi is at 200 million now total domestic. I could be wrong, but
that movie's going to clean up international though.
I think so. So it's doing well, and so new movies are coming out, which is great. We'll talk about one of those in a minute. But Brian and I actually got to go see Transformers, the movie, for its 35th anniversary. So tell me a little bit about what you thought of our experience there.
Yeah. So you and I have gone to see old movies before.
Yeah.
We went and saw the first Nightmare on Elm Street at the theater. And that was amazing because it was only $5 and it was awesome. Whereas this was like 14, which is, and
16.
Oh, 16.
Yeah.
And if you have Regal Unlimited, that did not count towards this. So, but yeah, I was excited to see it on the big screen because I don't think I saw it on the big screen when I was a kid. I wasn't too much into Transformers that I recall. But I was really disappointed with the sound quality because the theater we went to usually has amazing sound.
Yeah. And, I didn't want to drive to the big giant Regal.
Mm-hmm.
We had the option of seeing it in IMAX, though there's no IMAX real effects or anything, but, still just a giant theater, great sound, huge screen. But I didn't want to drive 30 minutes.
Right.
I wanted to go to the one in our town, support our theater. But the sound sucked. It was just from the front.
Yeah.
And I know that they've got to have stereo quality sound.
Yeah, I was going to look it up and see if the Blu-ray has, I'm sure the Blu-ray has surround sound, 7.1.
I figured one of the other nerds that was there would probably go on and complain to the theater. So I didn't. I'm usually one of those guys who'd be like, look, I know how this works. Look, fix the thing, put the scope right, Do
you normally do that?
Sometimes I do. I don't do it like a jerk, but I'm like, oh, hey guys, your screen is still sized for a scope. It needs to be for flat.
When I went and saw Shang-Chi, I saw it in Dahlonega, Dawsonville, and it was not in focus, and it was killing me.
Oh gosh, because focus is the worst.
It was before it started. I realized it, and I told Paige, I said, oh my God, it's not in focus, and she's like, how can you tell? And I was like, anytime you see words, that's the easiest way to tell.
That's it.
Anytime you see words, and there's a lot of captions in that movie, but I was like, you can tell because it has like a 3D effect, right? Like it's like a red and blue type of thing. You can tell it's not focused. And somebody next to us got up, and I was like, oh, he's gonna go tell him. He's gonna. It was okay, but no one ever said anything.
What a nightmare.
And I was like, I don't want to get up because the movie started by this point. But I've only ever done that once. I lived in this town in Georgia called Fitzgerald. And I don't even remember what I went and saw, but I got up twice. I got up, it was like, hey guys, the movie's not in focus. And they're like, oh, okay. And so they went and they messed with it. You could tell they were messing with it. And then it still wasn't in focus. And I wanted to be like, let me go do it. I've never worked at a movie theater, but I could probably figure it out. So
yeah. I always use the trailer of the MPAA general audiences because it has, it's a solid color background, white text. It was easy to get, to know if you're in focus or not. That's a big frustration of mine if they don't have that right. But also if part of the movie is off the screen.
Yes.
Most of it's there. Someone's like, oh, it looks good. But me, I'm like, bro, there's 2 feet off the screen. Can you just center that up a little bit? That's really frustrating.
I will say the nice thing about us going to the movie theater was it was very limited. The number of people that were there, it was maybe 4 groups of people, right? Maybe 5. And I knew 2 other groups of people, so that was great.
Yeah, catching up with old friends.
Yeah, after the movie theater, I jumped down. The great thing about masks is people don't recognize you immediately, and so after the movie, I jumped down a row to next to the people in front of us, And like the lady was like, "Oh my god!" And then I pulled my mask down so she could see who I was, and she was like, "Oh my god!" And started talking to me. And then we saw some of our other friends from Wizards Games, Dustin and them. So
yeah. So I too no I did see that movie in the theater originally, but I haven't seen it since then, and that's one of the reasons I went to it. It's been 35 years. I was a kid when I saw this movie, and I haven't seen it in years. I mean, I know that they've re-released it and stuff on Blu-ray or whatever, but I mean, I haven't watched it from start to finish in years. And I was like, oh man, when am I going to go do this again? I mean, I found out after the fact that those guys, they went to see it at the 30th anniversary. So apparently they do this every 5 years, but I didn't know that, and I didn't go to that, and I don't know that I'll go to the 40th either, but I was like, well, what a great opportunity. And then I read that they had exclusive content. And this exclusive content was not what I thought it would be. It was like 3 separate, like Robot Chicken style animated shorts. With one of them, the conceit was that Jazz was upset that he'd gotten killed in the movie. But then it was pointed out at the end by our friends from Wizards that he didn't actually die in the movie. So they'd even gotten that point wrong. So it was a little lackluster as far as the exclusive content and stuff goes, but it was still really cool to see that movie, all things considered. And even though I knew it was coming, when he grabbed the Matrix and the "You Got the Touch" came on, I like goosebumps. It was great.
It is funny. I wonder if, because those shorts were made by Hasbro, I wonder if Jazz was supposed to die, because the only time you really see him is like at the very end. There's like a scene of a bunch of Transformers together, and he's in that group. I wonder if that was like a mess up, like he wasn't supposed to be in that or whatever, but no one ever caught it. But
who knows? Well, with the Transformers as our inspiration, and with the exclusive content as our inspiration, we thought this episode of the show we would go and look at some movies that we really, really want to see in the theater. A lot of ones that are old movies that we would love to revisit in the theater. But before we get into our picks, I did want to point out that there are actually some really good ones that are for sure coming that you need to check out. The soonest, Sunday, October 10th and Monday, October 11th through Fathom Events, they have the Scream 25th anniversary, which I saw that one in the theater. Did you see that in the theater?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That was a great communal theater experience. Everybody screaming, everybody jumping at the jump scares. I wish I could relive that. I wish I could just like sit on the wall and just relive that from afar. And then also, inexplicably, one that we've done a whole show about, is coming back to the theater Thursday, October 14th for its 35th anniversary, and that is the movie Rad. Are you ready to break the ice? I don't know that I'm going to go watch that one in the theater, but I know a lot of our viewers might go want to see that one. And then, Brian, what comes out also that same day?
That same day is Halloween Kills, baby.
Yes.
I saw the first Halloween movie this year. I think it may have been last October, but I'm pretty sure it was this year. And I loved it. I thought it was great. And so I am super excited to see Halloween Kills, because I haven't seen the other ones, but I know it's not a reboot, but you don't have to see, as long as you understand the basic premise, it's
So you haven't seen the other Halloween movies yet?
No, I have them all. I just haven't seen them.
Did you see the most recent one that I was in?
No, I haven't.
Brian, you're killing me. You're killing me, Michael Myers, right here. No, so I have got to show you the new one, because the new one was so good, bro. It was so good. And this one is the sequel to that one. So basically, Halloween 1 happened, and then I forget if they included 2, but then they basically, the idea is that none of the other ones happened.
No H2O?
No. And then they jump in with the Blumhouse one for the newest Halloween, and then this one picks up where that one left off. So basically, as if there were 4 in the series, I believe. I'm probably wrong.
Rob Zombie doesn't make these, right?
Huh?
Is Rob Zombie making these new ones?
No.
Okay.
No. Rob Zombie's not making these new ones, but they're so good. And if I think that if we're going to revisit some movies and you want that communal experience, I think horror is one of those good ones to go see, because people are kind of invested together. There's reactions, there's screams, there's jumps. It's really cool. So one of the inspirations for this show not only was the Fathom events, but was because Halloween's coming out, and I'd stumbled across a video that pairs audio from Halloween's original run, actually a year later, because it was that good. It was still on the screen a year after its release, and there is audience reaction audio paired to the video from a guy named Kyle Wood, who recorded it in 1979. Let's look at just a little bit of that. Loomis is coming up. There's Laurie Strode. And there's Michael. All right, so it maybe not be the dramatic effect that the Avengers Endgame had, but still, like, you could listen and picture yourself in a theater just like that.
I bet seeing stuff like that makes movie makers like Carpenter and stuff like excited to see people's reactions to it. You know, like, of course they make movies that well, presumably they make movies that they want to see and that they think are going to be exciting, but then to also get to see people be excited about it. You know, that's gotta be cool.
Right. Well, with that audience reaction in mind, and with the exclusive content provided by Fathom Events, we thought we'd revisit some movies that are deserving of the big screen re-release, and I thought we'd add a little bit of some gimmicks in there. So, with a little bit of a history of gimmicks, have you ever gone to see a movie with a gimmick, with an audience participation gimmick?
The only place, so yes to I guess so the only audience participation was when I was in a band. We did a Halloween show someplace, and they did a Rocky Horror showing while we were there. But then the next closest thing would be just like the 4D entertainment at like Disney World, like Captain EO, or like there's like a not Ants, but yeah, Ants. No, Bugs Life. There's like a Bugs Life thing at Animal Kingdom that sucked because the hornets sting you, and it like stings you right in your spine, and it hurts so bad. But
oh no, yeah. I've been to several 4D theaters. There was one here at the Stone Mountain Park in Georgia, and like it was a swamp ride, and you could hear the crickets and frogs and stuff, and then something sprays you and you get misted on.
Yep.
And then there's the smell too. Like, I love the smell aspect. I know Disney, when you go to see Soarin', you soar over the orange fields and you can smell the oranges. That's really cool. But I've been to a couple that actually have immersive experiences. One of which, the immersive experience was really big back in the old days of the theater. And one guy that was really huge into the added experience was William Castle, and he had a couple of famous movie theater gimmicks. In 1959, there was a movie called The Tingler that shocked moviegoers with Percepto, which was a tingling effect that was in the seats that were actually, oddly enough, left over from airplane parts, de-icing motors for airplane wings in World War II.
How many people do you think got more than a tingling feeling?
I don't know. And I don't know the history of it, if they always had the disclaimer, or if there was enough negative audience reaction of like having heart attacks, people getting so scared when their seat buzzed, that that William Castle actually had to record an intro. I think we actually have a little bit of that available, so play some of that.
All right.
I am William Castle, the director of the motion picture you're about to see. I feel obligated to warn you that some of the sensations, some of the physical reactions which the actors on the screen will feel will also be experienced for the first time in motion picture history by certain members of this audience. I say certain members because some tingling sensation. Others will, you may obtain immediate right next to you.
Oh.
Will probably be screaming too. And remember this, a scream at the right time may save your life.
About to get loud. So if you've seen the movie Matinee, it's kind of like that, where they have the gimmicks in the seat. They had the Ant-Man running through.
I'm sorry. That character is based off of him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you've seen that movie, or if you haven't seen Matinee, you should check it out with John Goodman. It's a fantastic movie. Very period specific. But William Castle was the guy that inspired the John Goodman character who did all those little gimmicks and effects. He did another one that I actually got to see in person at the Silver Scream Spook Show. I think I've talked about that on the show before. Mm-hmm. It's a horror host styled live comedy show before a screening of a classic horror show. Mm-hmm. And they screened House on Haunted Hill, which was a William Castle movie, also from 1959. And they were very keen to advertise that they were going to be authentic to the movie and showcase the emergo effect. And there was a part in the House on Haunted Hill where something happened, and then something spooky happened in the theater. Take a look at this. Skeleton threw a person into the bubbling water. And here comes the skeleton to fly over the audience. So yeah, if you're just listening, you didn't see it, it is less spectacular than it might sound. Mm-hmm. But that's part of the awesomeness of it. Apparently, it did give some people some chills, but when I saw it, it was pure camp, and I loved every minute of it. Mm-hmm. They had this little like puppet skeleton they brought up, and then they had one person on each aisle holding the thing, and they flew it over the top of the audience. Mm-hmm. So the skeleton was coming at you in person. It's pretty cool, pretty cheesy, and I loved it.
It is interesting to think about that time period because let's say this was 60s basically, right? You have to think it wasn't really until The Exorcist when you had like people. I think after The Exorcist, you stopped hearing about people having issues at the movie theaters with like throwing up in the aisles or like heart attacks and stuff, because I guess after that everyone got desensitized to that whole experience. Then people were going into the theaters expecting to be shocked, whereas it's funny to see like the evolution of that happening, like people trying to the next big thing.
When I worked at United Artists, not at my theater, but I remember going to like a regional meeting with other managers, and they were touting the fact that for Mission Impossible 2, one of the Jackson, Mississippi theaters, they hired a lookalike to basically just like stand outside the theater wearing the sunglasses and leather jacket and like pretend to be like talking on the phone really importantly, like Tom Cruise was there. He didn't really interact with the people, but just like him being there was like causing a hubbub and stuff. So that was pretty fun. But like I said, we're gonna go into some movies, but I wanted you to go through and say like what's a great movie that needs to be revisited on the big screen, and then also what's maybe a gimmick we can add to keep people excited coming back for more.
Yeah. So you know, talking about that, it got me thinking more about like just what's a movie, right? So I'm going to ask you, what is a movie? No. So I'm going to ask you what these movies have in common. Okay. So Labyrinth, Troll 2, The Room, Polyester, and Repo the Genetic Opera.
Okay, well, the first couple, Labyrinth, Troll 2, they all have like puppets, like Jim Henson stuff. Do the others have any sort of puppetry?
No.
Okay. Then is it something musical?
It can be.
Because Labyrinth is musical. Repo the Genetic Opera is obviously musical too.
They're not all musical, but they all do have audience participation. And so I was thinking, you know, Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's when people that know what that is, that's typically one of the first things they think about when they think of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And so I got to thinking like, man, it'd be cool like if more audience participation stuff. I think Fathom is really missing the opportunity to be able to make the mainstream corporate movie theater more like an independent film theater, right? And so, you know, they do that to a point. Like their whole thing is the way they started was by doing live events at movie theaters, right? So maybe you get theater at your at the theater at the movie theater, and you know, instead of just movies. But if they started doing stuff like this, like I get it, it would be annoying because working at the movie theater, I bet like cleaning up the theater sucks to begin with, but then like after a party audience participation event, it's got to be even worse because people are throwing food and just stuff like that. But I think that's what it should be. We should have a month of audience participation of films, and like every week there's 2 films that are audience participation films. You just relegate it to one theater in the movie theater, and that way you can just hose it down after every showing.
I mean, we've talked about it before, but you know, I got to see Rocky Horror Picture Show, participate in all that stuff, and I had never seen the movie before. People were just like, "You've got to come to this. It's so much fun. Bring this, and we'll walk you through it." And it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. It's seared in my brain. It was so much fun. We did it at the movie theater that I was at managing in college, and that was a blast. Yeah, so I don't know why there's not more like that. I know one of the popular things at conventions is sing-alongs. Yeah. And they basically, I'll check this out. And all it is it really is they play the movie clip and people just sing along with the different parts of the movie, of like Disney songs or Hamilton or stuff like that. Yeah, if we could have some more audience participation, I think that would go a long way for getting butts in the seats. Because honestly, like Rad and Scream, as much as I love that communal experience for Scream, if there's not something unique and special, it's hard for me to justify the costly ticket price to see a movie I've already seen that I already own. Right. So it's got to be bringing the heat.
Yeah, and it's not like so one of the things I thought was interesting about Transformers, because you said you haven't really seen that movie recently. I have watched it a bunch. It's on my Plex server. And so, like, a lot of times if I'm playing a game on PC, I'll turn the TV on and turn on Transformers or G.I. Joe the movie, like stuff like that. But it was interesting to be in the theater and hear what parts people laugh at, because there was parts that I did not think were supposed to be jokes or were funny, but like people laughed at them, and I was like, wow, that's weird. And it wasn't just like one group. Sometimes one person starts laughing and other people will join in. And so, but the audience size is so small. It's like you said, like that's part of that communal feeling, but I mean, it's not worth $16 to sit there with, 5 groups of people to watch a movie. It's got to be bigger than that if you're going to get that communal experience.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's time. We've teased it enough. Brian, let's go through and give our picks for movies that deserve the big screen treatment with a little gimmick effect.
House.
私あなたを救えなかった。I see in your eyes where
tomorrow is hiding in my heart. There's a bell.
All right, Preston.
What just happened?
What do you think that movie is based off the 30 seconds that you just saw?
Well, okay. I am really shocked here because I saw that the movie House was on your list.
Yeah.
And there's another movie called House.
That came out in the States?
Yeah, that came out in the States. That's about like, I don't know, what, a haunted house or something?
I assume so because you see the picture where it's like the finger, the bone is the key.
I was not expecting a Japanese horror movie.
Oh, man. This movie is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I've never heard of it.
I was introduced to it maybe 10 years ago at the Hyde Museum of Art in Atlanta. My friend Matt was in town, and he came in town to see me and to visit, but really it was because they were showing this movie at the Hyde, and so we went down and saw it, and oh my god, dude, it just blew me away. So 1977. If you think of like just like avant-garde like comedy horror, right? So think of something like Evil Dead 2, right? So it's similar. It's that same style of movie. This girl, her dad is dating this new young girl, and so she gets upset about it, and he wants to take her on vacation. And so instead of doing that to make him mad, she gets her friends to get with her to go visit her aunt's house in the country. And you heard like the 60s like groovy music like happens, like there's parts of that, like the scenes where you like saw like the fade in of their faces, like that is part of the movie, like when it's like introducing the characters.
Whoa.
It's so wild, but like the house ultimately is like eating all of her and her friends. And it's just crazy. It is so good. Criterion put it out, a re-release of it.
Wow.
Years ago. I have that if you want to borrow it. It's also on the Plex server. But yeah, it is an amazing film. And you know, to go along with what I was talking about with the audience participation and Fathom missing the opportunity to make those movie theaters more like independent theaters, you could have stuff like this play in those theaters and really like let people see the weird movies that have come out over the years.
Yeah, you know, there are some theaters that do re-air those art house flicks, but a lot of them need a wider exposure. And a lot of the ones that do make it like to the Fathom events, they're the huge movies.
Right.
They're the all-time classics. They're the Nightmare on Elm Street. They're the Transformers. They're the, you know, Supermans, or, you know, all of those. The ones that I picked are ones that are like cult classics, but would probably never get the re-release treatment. Like they're not that worthy of it. So unless you're doing like an Alamo Drafthouse cast reuniting, you know, 30th anniversary, you're not gonna be able to see these. And that's definitely one that I would not see any other time. But now that I have your whatever you call it, approval on this one, and I've seen how wackadoo it looks.
Oh yeah.
If they brought that out, I would definitely go check it out.
Yeah, I'll grab the movie tonight when you leave, and you can take it home and show it to the girls. They I don't think that there's anything scandalous in it.
I don't know, man. The rating system was all jacked up like back in the 70s. So a PG movie might be pretty risque. Who knows? Plus, it's foreign. Whoa, it's probably not rated.
I know that those when I was a kid, those were like
that's the good stuff.
Favorite ones. Like, oh man, Showtime's got this French movie coming on.
That's crazy. I was not expecting to learn something new or see something new. I thought I knew a lot of movies, but I didn't know that one. That's cool.
Yeah. The if you get a chance to see that movie, to catch it. It is amazing, and I don't know how much weight that people put behind Criterion stuff. Like I know some people are like super Criterion collectors, but if at any point you're like, they only really put out like the movies that matter, right, in the long run, and the fact that they put out a great version of that film, I think makes a big statement. So cool. I don't know if there's a big version or a big awesome collection of this next film.
Going back real quick.
Shoot.
House.
Yes.
What would be the gimmick? Just singing the songs?
No. So I think because it's like a horror, like it's like a horror movie and the house is eating people, you could do it similar to like the House on Haunted Hill or whatever. Like you would have certain things where like there's a part where there's like a head like bouncing around, like it's like one of the girls' heads and she's like laughing at them while her head is bouncing all over the house. And you could have like
like some beach ball action going on.
Yeah, and then like knocking it around the theater and stuff like that. So I think it would be a lot of fun.
I feel like some young teenage punks would just steal that head and run out of the theater with it.
But
I got it.
Sure, like it would have to be a cheap head because every night you would have to replace it.
There you go.
So, all right.
I got a good one. I didn't tell you to stick with like a horror theme.
Right.
But it's funny that you and I both had that inclination.
Perfection. A scorched outpost in the middle of nowhere.
You know how close I am to leaving this place right now? How close?
Maybe that's why Val and Earl decided to leave town.
Hey, hold up. That's Edgar Deans.
They just picked the wrong day to do it.
Jeez. You guys better get the hell out of here. There's a killer on the loose.
Who could be doing it?
Is that a snake?
I'll give you boys $5 for this.
20.
Oh, I made Brian cut it before the big reveal. If you haven't seen Tremors from 1990, you have got to check it out. I've probably talked about it on the show before. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And like I said earlier, I think it's one that it does certainly have a cult following, but has it been re-released on the big screen? Is it worthy of the Fathom event? I don't know, but I want to see it again on the big screen. I saw that one in the theater. It was in a mall fourplex in Illinois, and it was, it was one where I don't think it was really advertised that much. Like I didn't know what was going on. We were just like, let's go see a movie. Oh, out of what's available, let's go see that one. And it was great. It's PG-13, a lot of fun, comedy, horror, but not too scary. Creature effects. It's really cool. If you're not familiar with the movie, it's about like this town in like the desert valley in Nevada, in a town called Perfection, and people start disappearing, people start dying. They're figuring out what it is. Spoiler alert, it's giant worms in the ground. Okay. So that's what that one is about. But it's so funny, what holds the test of time. And my argument for it being worthy of a re-release isn't just the cult status of it, but it's like it debuted at number 5 on the box office. Then it slid to 6, stayed in the top 10 for a little while, but it never reached past top 5. It debuted after the rankings were Born on the 4th of July, Tango and Cash, The War of the Roses, and Internal Affairs. Now, all of those movies, for the most part, I don't know about the Internal Affairs. I don't remember that one.
I don't remember that either.
But 4th of July, I know that's, Oliver Stone movie. Won Academy Award or whatever. It's a great movie. Tango and Cash, it's memorable.
He teaches you you gotta buckle your seatbelt.
The War of the Roses, I remember that. Kathleen Turner's in that one, right?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, I think that Tremors actually has more cultural zeitgeist staying power than any of those.
Well, I think you're definitely right because there are 7 Tremors movies.
That's right.
So it's definitely stuck around.
Dude, there's 7. There's the original Tremors. There's 5 sequels, 1 prequel. There's and there was a TV show, TV series. So yeah, all right. So
and Kevin Bacon.
Well, of course.
I think Kevin Bacon's choices for his early films are what makes the 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon possible.
6 degrees.
Or 6 degrees, whatever.
I think so too. I mean, because you got Michael Gross in this one, you got Fred Ward, you got Reba McEntire, you got all these great folks. It's worth checking out. It's a funny movie, so there's communal laughter. It's scary, so there's jump scares and but if we're gonna have to go with the gimmick effect, I'm gonna go with an old school scare. You remember those? They're like gag gifts where it's like a can of peanuts and you unscrew it and you open up. Oh my gosh, there's a snake that pops out. Now, what if there was a way to have like a version of that on every seat back, where at one point in the movie somebody pushes a button and the lid pops down and the giant, a snake comes, golly, timed right at the right moment. That would give people heart attacks. And it'd be awesome.
It would be even better if it was one of the D-Box movie theaters. Do you know what those are? So they're like, it's like basically, if I remember correctly, in D-Box, it makes it kind of like a 4D experience. If I remember correctly, it's like 2 seats per box, but they move around. It's like you're riding the movie, right? And so, like, that movie would be great because of the tremors. Like, the snakes are going, or the worms are going through the desert, like, you would feel it, and, like, you would be moving around with it.
I didn't even, the dang movie's called Tremors, and I didn't even think of the most basic pairing effect with that, of just shaking the seats a little bit. But I guess I didn't want to be like the Tingler, But, no, I see what you're saying. And, like, those times where it's going across the ground or somebody's getting dragged, that would be a great effect. But yeah, if you want to scare someone, pop out those snakes, man.
Yeah, the I don't remember what ride it's on, but in some of those things, it always, like, I always wear like sandals. I wear Birkenstocks, and they're open toe. They're not the clog ones. And so sometimes, though, in those 4D things, they have this thing that whips across your feet.
Oh, right.
And it always sucks for me because my feet are exposed, and so it's like whipping like my bare flesh.
Ow!
Yeah, I'm like, that hurts. But I'm sure if I was wearing sneakers, this would be fun. So
forgot about that effect. Those are cool.
Yeah, but so that would be perfect for it too. So like when they're dragging someone behind, like you could like feel it go down the aisle, and you would hear it like the wave, like so that'd be cool. But cool. Well, I think Tremors is a classic. Do you know who directed the first Tremors?
I forget.
I wonder if they went on to do great things, because the person that directed my next movie, he put out so many bangers, but they were so low key and like cult classics. But eventually he became like the biggest movie director
that's right.
in the world. So I'm excited about this one.
On this picturesque block, in this manicured home, something evil, something terrifying, something horrifying is haunting Lionel. His mother.
I thought I told you to spray this house. The place is infested with vermin.
Although she was a little strict,
Look at this dust. It's an inch thick.
he never wished her any harm.
You look out.
All right, Preston, Dead Alive is probably one of the best movies that has ever come out. In New Zealand, it's known as Brain Dead, but it is not only a great film, but it has one of the movie rental cover art boxes that sticks in your head for all time.
Oh my gosh, that is so. I mean, even if you've never seen the movie, you've seen that cover art of the mouth opened up with the skeleton inside.
Man, Peter Jackson was the movies that he made before he got big. I mean, it's hard to go because after he got big, he made The Hobbit and King Kong. I guess King Kong was still good.
He made Lord of the Rings.
Well, I know, but that was when he got big. After he got big,
oh yeah,
like The Hobbit is such a down point in his career, like,
right.
And it just kind of taints everything that came before it to a point. But oh god, so this movie, if you haven't seen it, it's hard to believe because it's so amazing. So there's this, like, it starts off like on this like island in the middle of nowhere, and gosh, you start getting like these like was it Cannibal? What was that Cannibal movie? Not Cannibal Holocaust. What is
yeah, there's Cannibal Holocaust.
And like you start getting those feels because it's like in the middle of nowhere with like all these natives and stuff, but it's about these rat monkeys, and they get imported into New Zealand. One gets loose, bites this guy's grandmother, and just zombie grossness ensues. This film is so gross. It was like touted as like one of the goriest films of all time. Like there's a part where the grandmother starts turning into like the undead, and like they're eating like custard, and like her like skin is like drooping into the custard while they're eating it and stuff. Oh, it's so gross. But then you have huge comedic parts, like there's a priest in it, and he jumps out in this graveyard at some point. He's like, I kick ass for the Lord, and he's like doing like roundhouse kicks and like knocking zombies' heads off and stuff. This film has it all, Preston.
I honestly, Brian, I'm ashamed to admit I have not seen this movie.
Oh my God. Well, it's on my Plex server. You gotta check it out.
Everything's on your Plex server. I gotta check it out. Yeah, so I, not to drive away from Dead or Alive, we'll come back to that, but you know, I forget what his transition movie was from New Zealand film industry to Hollywood, but in between Dead Alive and I know there was Heavenly Creatures. Was that one?
Oh, I don't know that one.
And then there was one of my favorite movies before Lord of the Rings. There was The Frighteners.
Yes, yeah.
Michael J. Fox, and it was about a paranormal, a guy who could talk to the dead, but he was kind of shady. And
he was a scam artist.
Yeah, scam artist. Until suddenly something happens, he has to save the city.
Yep.
But it's a horror comedy too. Like that's just such a sweet vibe. It's hard to do, to toe that line, and Peter Jackson did it really, really well.
Yeah, you know, he didn't. It sounds like he only did horror comedies, but really he didn't, because there was in between those films there was another amazing movie called Meet the Feebles, where have you ever seen that?
Is it like Meet the Deedles?
No, Meet the Feebles is
I know
it is the Muppet Show. So this is how Elijah Wood describes it. It's the Muppet Show on LSD. It is insane, but it is like full puppets. Everybody's a puppet, and there are analogs to Kermit and Piggy and stuff like that with the cast. But there's like, you know, like a Vietnam vet that's like keeps having flashbacks, and then just like the star of the show is like addicted to drugs because of stardom and stuff. It is an amazing show. You should watch that movie. It is also on my Plex server. I think that movie was the first movie that really got me into Peter Jackson, because I had rented it from a movie gallery, and then it was one of those situations where I just kept it. Like I took it around to so many people's houses. I was like, you have to watch this movie with me.
Man,
this movie is amazing. And so I forced a bunch of people to watch it. I would take it to other states. Like I would go visit my sister and be like, I brought this movie and we were watching it. So, but yeah, it's cool that you brought up The Frighteners, because that is another movie that I think of when you think of movie rental places, right? The cover of that is also like white cover, but like a evil face poking through, kind of like,
and I think it was
Freddy
lenticular,
Krueger.
right?
Yeah,
if you moved, it kind of popped out at you.
And it's neat to watch that movie, because the ghost effects they use in that film are the same ghost effects that they used in Lord of the Rings for the Army of the Dead. And so like the way that he made them glow and stuff, like you can watch that movie and go, oh, okay, that's where he got that from for Lord of the Rings. So, but yeah, dude, Dead or Alive, or not Dead or Alive, Dead Alive.
So what's the gimmick?
All right, so because the cast of this movie is so strong, I think it would be easy for you to have a cast ensemble perform the different scenes, not the whole movie, you know, but like when there's a part where someone comes out, they're using a lawnmower as a weapon in order to like mow down zombies, and it's with like also the priest is in that part and stuff like that. You could have like the priest like doing like back handsprings down the aisles and like kicking people and stuff, and like I think that you could just have that ensemble cast come in for like the live performance and mixed in with the movie performance as well. So
having never seen the movie, if you told me there was gonna be a back-flipping priest coming down the aisle, my butt would be in that seat.
Yeah,
so
see,
I would go enjoy that.
Fathom, call me. I've got the ideas.
Good ideas.
Oh God.
All right, well, we didn't know each other's list going into tonight. We didn't plan on horror comedy, but the next one is also a horror comedy. So hope you like this one.
All Tom Hanks wanted was a quiet vacation at home.
This is what I need, Carol. I need this.
Welcome to Mayfield Place. A typical street in the burbs.
Morning, Walter.
Where nothing much ever happened.
Walter's dog just took a dump on Rumsfield's lawn again.
Until the Klopeks moved in.
Klopex? Klopex.
Klopek. No one goes in, no one comes out.
Neighbors from hell.
It was a nice place to live.
He said he thinks the Klopeks are evil incarnate.
Well, you're much too smart to fall for that, aren't you, honey?
But now...
Carol!
You wouldn't want to visit there.
Ray,
This is Walter.
All right, hands down, one of my favorite movies of all time. This is a little cheating because I would pay money to see this in the theater every year. But I know there are other people out there that would do that too. This still fits in my frame of this is not going to get a Criterion Collection.
Mm-hmm.
It did get a Shout Select release. I have that one, the Blu-ray, but it's not. It will probably never get picked by Fathom Events for an anniversary thing. But there are so many people that love The Burbs, and I think it's just grown and grown year after year as far as people that discover it, that appreciate the humor of Joe Dante's awesome horror comedy. Of course, the inimitable Tom Hanks in his pre-Oscar winning days. So
he too made some amazing decisions before he got huge in the films that he was in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, kudos for that guy. If you're not familiar with the movie, if you didn't get it from just a little bit of the trailer, basically life in suburbia seems great until the wrong neighbors move in who may or may not be murderous body snatchers. Hijinks ensue with the suspecting neighbors, the spying and watchful eye of that you can only find in the HOAs of suburbia. And it's great. It's got Corey Feldman. It's got Carrie Fisher. It's got Henry Gibson. So many great actors and actresses. And it's a great ensemble comedy. So check it out if you haven't. But I thought, even before you started mentioning your audience participation stuff, because like I said, we didn't talk before we came here tonight. I was like, The Burbs, now it's not a musical, but this should get the Rocky Horror treatment. Like, the dedicated fans should come up with some ideas that can be replicated every single show. So I have a few ideas here. If you're familiar with the movie, maybe these will stick out for you. But, some minor ones, ripping off from the Rocky Horror. There's a big rain scene where there's a guy digging in the backyard and it's rainy. So pull out the squirt gun, start shooting up in the air, get everybody that 4D experience of it's raining right now. There is a part where they push the doorbell and they're hesitant to come up to the house anyway, but they finally get to the nerve and they ring the doorbell on the creepy neighbor's house, and as they do, something falls over, knocks open a hole in the house, and there's a swarm of bees. All right, you got a Ziploc bag full of
bees.
No, just full of little balls of paper, like not spitwads, but like before it would be a spitwad,
Right.
just little balls of paper. And you can just throw those about. People feel like there's little bugs on them. Bees are swarming. That would be fun, and people get to throw stuff. People love throwing stuff. Okay, so there's that. In the trailer that we just saw, there was the iconic part where he goes, "Ray, this is Walter," and they hold up the bone, and then Tom Hanks just screams his funny iconic scream, and that would just be great for everybody to let loose, get their screams out, jump around, do like 3 circles. There could be some choreography or something that people have to do. And then lastly, for my ideas is Corey Feldman is the annoying teenager next door, and he's like a surfer guy kind of attitude, and he's always like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm gonna order pizza. Pizza dude's here. Pizza guy." Everybody needs all of your supplies for the night could come in a cardboard pizza box. So you just pack your pizza box full of all your other stuff, your little your bee paper pellets, maybe a fake wig, all this kind of stuff. And then every time someone says, "Pizza dude," you toss your empty pizza box up in the air. And then when it happens again, you just pick up the closest one and toss it again, and pizza boxes are flying left and right. It would be a hoot. I would definitely, like I said, go see it anyway. But if you add some audience participation to it, I would be there in a heartbeat. Did you have any ideas for that one, Brian?
For The Burbs, I did not have any of my own ideas. It's been a very long time since I've seen it, but I do think...
Didn't I make you watch it like a couple years ago?
I don't think so.
Because it's like my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah,
I have the poster and everything.
Yes, you do. I've definitely seen it. It's funny because only Joe Dante, and it's funny that we've brought him up multiple times because we didn't talk about Gremlins 2.
Oh, that's right.
But that matinee, well, I said that weird. Matinee was also a Joe Dante film.
Right.
And so like he was so good at doing like the horror comedy, and this movie should not work as well as it does because that concept to me is a kid's concept, right? It's usually like the kids think the neighbor's strange, and like that's like the whole right. Especially, well, I guess not now, but the past several years that has been a big thing with like Hello Neighbor and stuff like that. It's like the creepy neighbor, and it's like a kid thing. But only Joe Dante can spin that tale into being something for adults.
Well, you said you haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
And so I'll remind you, when I first saw it, I think I might have seen it in the theater or right when it came to video. I didn't get it, right? It wasn't funny to me.
Right.
And then something happened. I don't know if it showed on TV or if, someone picked it out as a rental in a 5 for $5 deal or something. But sometime after it came out, when I was still young, maybe 12, 13, I saw it again. And it clicked. And it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. I laughed my butt off. And I don't know what appealed to me as a kid, but it's funny because as I've grown older and have become a homeowner, and I'm in a homeowners association, and you've got, you walk around the neighborhood and you've got these characters, it appeals differently as an adult.
Right.
Because you can, it's not I don't want to go in their yard to get my ball because of the scary mean neighbor, like kids identify. It's the snooping and the rumors and the supposition and stuff like that of these nosy neighbors that you're like, oh, I know people like this.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it is a good movie. And I like your ideas for the audience participation, that kind of thing. But I will say my next movie has a king in it, and it is something that is going to be hard to beat. So
oh no.
He comes from a place beyond the stars to take them to a world beyond their dreams. From his soul comes the music. From his heart comes the beat. Now, from the imagination of Michael Jackson comes a movie like no other.
And ladies and gentlemen, we were not going to get a copyright strike until that movie. But it was worth it, man. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker was, when I was a kid, who wasn't during the time the biggest Michael Jackson fan, right? It didn't matter that this movie was so nonsensical for the majority of it that it had Michael Jackson, and it was just a way to basically celebrate his music.
Yeah.
In what weird and wacky ways.
I wish I had this handy, but I didn't know you were doing this movie tonight. And congratulations, by the way, for not doing a horror comedy.
Well, I don't know. There is some horror in this film.
We broke the mold. No, somebody on social media, on Twitter or something, had tweeted something about some other celebrity and comparing them to Michael Jackson. And people were just like, no, like totally different caliber of celebrity. Like if you weren't alive in the late 80s and early 90s, you have no bearing for how insanely popular Michael Jackson was as a celebrity. It will probably never be replicated as far as worldwide popularity and infatuation and recognition. Now, I've seen some things in modern times that I'm like, Michael Jackson, I don't know. But there is no denying that at the time,
yes,
it was an amazing spectacle.
Yeah, I had a guy that worked for me that said he compared Michael Jackson and said that oh God, it's a pop star. He has face tattoos.
Post Malone?
Yes, he said Post Malone is the modern day Michael Jackson. And I said, dude, you have lost your mind. I said, I don't even know who Post Malone is. so there's no way he's like Michael Jackson because everybody knew who Michael Jackson was. Yeah, my
grandmother knew who Michael Jackson was.
And so and I have since come to learn who Post Malone is. I still agree that he is not the modern day Michael Jackson.
No way.
So the annoying thing is there was other people in the store, and I said, let me ask you a question. Do you think Post Malone is the modern day Michael Jackson? And it was a mother and her child. And the child went, "Oh yeah." And then I was like, I didn't say it.
Never mind.
I don't care about your opinion because you're a child. Mother, what do you think? But she also said, I could see it. And I was like, you people have lost your mind. There's no way.
Yeah, that's like saying Macklemore is.
Yeah, Michael Jackson. It was the king of pop. He was so popular. He had giant statues made of himself and put them in different countries. Like crazy.
He had a pet chimpanzee, and people were just like, well, that makes sense.
I know.
And got away with it. What?
And he had 2 video games, one arcade, one Sega Genesis, and he had the chimpanzee that gave him the power up to turn into a giant robot in both of them. So, but this film was crazy because it shouldn't have been made other than the fact that it just had Michael Jackson's name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Jackson had a lot of say in what happened in this movie, and half of it is really just a collection of short films that Michael Jackson made to he didn't make them, but he had a lot of input in them. But it shows his rise to fame from being a child, and the way he spun it was, this is how people see me. Like he wasn't like this is how I was, or this, there wasn't like that like documentary style or anything. It was these are how people have reacted to me my entire life. And so there's just montages of Jackson 5 music with pictures of him as a child, and then there's a part where they're shooting a music video and it turns into claymation and he turns into a rabbit and he's running from all these fans and stuff, and it's crazy. But then you also have a short movie where there are these kids that Joe Pesci is kidnapping and getting them addicted to drugs, and then he turns into a robot and saves them, and then turns into a car and flies away. It is so off the wall bonkers.
Very surreal.
It also is a shame because due to licensing issues, this film has not had a U.S. release on Blu-ray or anything like that. I do have, there is a region-free European release, and I guess the licensing doesn't matter over there or whatever. But it'll work on our players. So I have the European version because I bought it for my kids. I was like, they have to see this. Like Michael Jackson, I lied to my friends when I was a kid. I had the Thriller album and said, Michael Jackson, I know him. He signed this for me because his name was signed on the front. And so it was such a big part of my life as a kid. And I was like, you guys have to see it. And I was happy that they enjoyed the film too. Like my youngest daughter has watched it multiple times. So
I've got it on VHS, man. So I've got the original release. But this is the first one you picked that kind of makes sense in that Rocky Horror vein that you were talking about, because it's got that music element.
Mm-hmm.
I was hard pressed to find, other than Labyrinth, right, where they have songs and things, it's hard pressed to find movies that have that added element of unique to that movie songs.
Right.
But then you got the fantastical different styles of filmmaking, the different stories, the segments. Yeah, you could do a lot with that. Did you have any particular ideas?
So aside from just the sing-alongs with all those, because a lot of the music videos that came out around this time from Smooth Criminal and stuff like that, they were all from this movie, right? But there's a big tarantula undertone in this film because Joe Pesci is I don't remember what the name of his organization is, but it's something like Tarantula or something like that. But there's always tarantulas crawling all over things, and so you could drop tarantulas from the ceiling, and not real ones, but and it would freak everybody out. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, that would give folks a heart attack. Spiders for sure.
And then you could have a Michael Jackson look-alike doing stuff too. That'd be fun.
Totally. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, I think I played that movie. I played the VHS tape in the background while I was doing something in my shop, in my workshop, a year and a half ago. But as far as sit down, watch Michael Jackson Moonwalker, it has been a long time. So I might check it out But it might not.
Yeah. And both of those games are also extremely good. Like I remember when I was a kid, the arcade game, I loved it. And then when the Genesis game came out, it was very different from, like, it still had the same stages, but it was a different style of game. But they were both like amazing games. So,
yeah. Well, if you have the theater, maybe you could get some arcade collectors to bring out the arcade games as well and make it more of like an immersive experience. So before you see the movie, you can play the game.
You can be in it. That'd be amazing. Oh gosh, I love Michael Jackson Moonwalker. It's a great thing. So
yeah. Well, the King of Pop certainly deserves a footnote in history, and I'm glad we got a little footnote of history on our show. But I think that's all of our collection of movies for the evening, for the show. But I know that there are so many more out there, and I would love to hear your ideas for what should hit the big screen or what you're planning to go see anyway. Like I said, there's some great ones coming up on the horizon. But let us know what you think about our picks, and if you have any other ideas for gimmicks that we can share on the air, that would be really cool. Hey, Brian, where can people find you? You can find me on Twitter at BE_Grantham, and you can find the show at Wayback_Attack. What about you, Preston? Hey, man, I'm on Twitter as well at @SquaredStiff, there on Instagram, and you can hit us up through email to get us those messages, to get us those suggestions or show ideas. We're waybackattackshow@gmail.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and we hope we can get you to stick around and enjoy some more episodes down the line. Yeah, I like to think, we do a lot of stuff with the movies, and I would like to think that someone at Fathom is going to see or hear this episode, and then that they are going to start doing some of these ideas that we have. Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, man, if it's gold, baby, gold. Yes. If you were able to set up that month-long audience participation thing, that's butts and seats for a month. Movie theaters would love it. They would. We need to get the audience back in the seats, eating that popcorn, and having a great time, just like we did tonight. So thanks for checking us out.